Kastor Lieberung. Herr Lieberung. Kastor. Cass. Yeah, it's not exactly coming naturally to me. But this is such an amazing opportunity. I mean, it's not exactly the right thing to do morally, but it's not like I've let that bother me in the past. No reason to allow it to do so now. And, stealing from rich folks isn't really stealing. It's more like redistribution. It's just that there seems to be so much more going on here. Will doing this actually allow me to get back to my life? Or, live a better one? Or will I always be pursued by the ones that have been on our trail so far? I suppose there's only one way to find out. This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Heinrich, you have managed, with a little bit of gossip, to find out where this Gartenweg Street is. It's somewhere in the Altstadt district, which is the northern heart of the town. More of a lower-class area. You're far now from the sounds of the Schaufenfest, and indeed even the thoroughfare of the main square. Deep now in the northern part of Bogenhafen. Around here, there seem to be an awful lot of housing areas, warehouses. Doesn't really seem like the sort of place you'd have the lawyer's office. You'd have thought that would be all the way back to the direction that Siegfried was heading. But you have managed to find the street, and then using the information you were told, find the law office. It's a small, squat place, 2 stories. There is a sign hung up from within the building, presented through a window, saying this is indeed Mazer's Lock, Stock and Barrel, civil lawyers, commissioners for oaths, etc. You look around the street. There's a couple of men far off, sort of having a bit of a smoke, looking at you a little suspiciously. But otherwise, you are here at this law firm. What do you do, Heinrich?
Well, I imagine they're looking at me extra suspiciously because one of the things I was going to ask is if, en route to this place, I could have bought a fancier hat. My dueling garb is not in good condition, and if I'm going to present myself as a bodyguard for an obviously wealthy, obviously important lord, I can't be looking like this, which means, based on how you describe the surroundings, I've arrived looking a little bit like a ponce. Very conspicuous. But no way but forward.
However, sadly, that's probably going to cost you at least a gold crown, maybe 10 silver shillings if you want a really basic hat.
No, I'm flush with cash from the duel, and it's upwardly mobile. You gotta dress for the job you want, and I want to be the duelist for a very important person.
Indeed. Well, in that case, a gold crown it is. For a very nice hat. Describe it to me.
Well, the dueling hat, they come in 2 categories. You have your very small, close fitting to the head. That's more of a serious leaning into the warrior aspect of it, the kind of thing you could get into a fight to and it wouldn't be that big a deal. The equivalent of keeping your hair cut short when you're a soldier so no one can grab on it. That is not Heinrich's way. This is a large, a little too large, flat broad cap, looking a little Renaissance in nature, and the reason it cost the full gold crown instead of 10 silver shillings is the feather. I wanted something that wasn't just a plain white quail or something like that. No, it's extra long, 6 or 7 inches, droops just perfectly, and the person who sold it to me told me that the blue color really brought out my eyes.
It is indeed then a very nice hat. Well, there you are. You're at the door to this ramshackle law firm. What do you do?
Can I tell by looking whether there is a lobby to speak of, or is this the front door to the place?
You can't really tell through the window. In fact, other than the sign, you can't see the interior at all. So you wouldn't know until you open the door.
Well, I'll open the door, and if they yell at me, I will tell them, "How dare you speak to the envoy of Lord Lieberung such ways?"
Indeed. You enter the room. It's a very bare room. A couple of benches to one side. There's a big desk that's been set up just before 2 big wooden doors. There's a bookshelf with a bunch of random books on it. And there is a young man currently just sort of waiting. He sort of stands to attention as soon as you enter. He goes, yes, hello, sir. Hello, how can we help you today? Hello?
Without missing a beat, Heinrich musters up all the imperious energy he can. I'm not sure how much this is, but whatever he's got, he's using all of it. Yes, I'm here in the name of Lord Lieberung, preparing for his arrival in several days. Tell me, are you the master of this establishment?
Oh, no, I'm just the clerk, but excellent. Look, well, sorry, it's Herr Lieberung. He's not a lord. Is he? Oh, well, what? That doesn't matter. Yes, Herr Lieberung. Yes, wonderful. Yes, excellent. We've been expecting you. Yes.
Ah, finally, someone who recognized you would not believe the kind of people in this town who pretend to not know who he is. Yes, well, we have arrangements to make. Please, take me to your superior so these things can be handled.
Oh, of course, Mr. Lieberung. Herr Lieberung, yes?
No, not me! Mustering up my energy of dismissal. In what universe would he appear by himself in first? He's traveling, of course, in the appropriate trappings of his station. I am here to make sure things that are precise and ready for him when he arrives, as not to waste Herr Lieberung's very valuable time.
Oh, I see. Well, okay. Well, you do understand Mr. Herr Lieberung needs to come himself to speak with the lawyer.
Yes, raising my hands at this point in exasperation, and I think I want to lean into intimidate at this point. Yes, I know he has to come by himself yes, of course he has to arrive and sign the paperwork himself. I'm going to speak slowly so you understand me. I need to make sure everything is ready so he can show up and sign the paperwork and receive what is his, and there won't be any bumbling or searching or filing cabinets being rifled through, that we can just proceed immediately with our business. Is that going to be a problem?
Well, no, of course not. Yes, it's ready. We are ready. As soon as he arrives and presents the documentation, we can begin the sightings of the thing.
Excellent, and you are, of course, very, very confident in this. You wouldn't mind if I inspected the documents you have ready just to make sure to get my own eyes on them?
Oh, well, no, sorry, sir. That's for the Herr Ball to discuss with Herr Lieberung. You understand? It's private legal matters. I don't know.
Take me to Herr Ball. I don't have to. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're very good at your job, but this is obviously going to require things that are above your level of authority. Can you please take me to someone who can actually solve this problem for me?
The young man looks a bit awkward and looks behind him to the door and then just remarks, well, no, you've arrived a bit late, actually. Herr Ball isn't here at the moment. I'm the only person currently here. I don't have authorization to show you anything, sir. I don't know who you are.
I'm waving my hand. Yeah, well, let me tell you what. Which story, come with me on a journey, which story would you rather your superior hear when Herr Lieberung arrives? That everything was in order and his diligent clerk provided excellent service and everyone was quite happy, or that Herr Lieberung's envoy came in looking for a very basic level of assistance and was met with nothing but insolence that it really was spitting in the face of the station and the quality and the length of business that Herr Lieberung has brought to you. I'm sure there are other establishments in the city who do things differently. Maybe we could look for them. Are you starting to understand what I'm telling you? Because let me just fill it in for your brain real quick. You can show me. I'll see it. You don't have to tell anyone. I don't have to tell anyone. And then, once all the paperwork is signed, you and I will know that you did the right thing, and no one has to get in trouble or get the kind of reputation in front of their boss having to answer for them. Oh, why one of the big accounts is left. I mean, are you tracking with me, sir?
You see the door open behind you, and two men enter from outside. The men who are having a smoke. They kind of just enter slowly and glance at the clerk. The clerk then looks at you and seems to straighten up a little. No, sir, I'm not going to break into my employer's office and steal his documentation so you, a random person in a hat who claims to speak for Herr Lieberung, can see things. I think you need to go. Now, if you really are who you say you are, you can tell Mr. Lieberung that he is due, and should I also mention he's late, and this is highly untoward, and maybe I think you should leave now, sir.
I don't need to roll to tell that he's nervous about the people who are behind me without looking, right? That those are enforcers of some kind who have entered.
You don't know that, but you do know he suddenly seems a bit more firm with you.
Maybe this is how they do things in Bogenhafen. That is how... Fine. I will accept the terms you have given for now, but Herr Lieberung is going to hear about this. First, I will doff my very expensive hat, put it back on, spin on my heels, and make like I'm beelining towards the exit, but I want to get a good look at the people who made the door open behind me before I do.
You do so. The two men you saw smoking. They have shaven their heads. They have clubs on their sides. One of them looks like he has a bit of a broken nose. And they look... Is that one of them has like a dock hand on his belt? Like dock hand workers? Stevedores? They don't look like official members of the watch, that's for sure.
And more to the point, they're not wearing anything purple that I can see?
No.
Well, I don't trust stevedores, not after what has happened, but I also don't want to get into a 2-versus-1 fight in close quarters, so unless they start getting in the way of me, I am going to proceed right along my business as a very important envoy would.
They don't get in your way, and you exit the building. What do you do, Heinrich?
Oh, I'm not going very far, I can tell you that much, because I would like to stay within earshot of the office, trying to listen into the conversation that I'm sure will happen. If I get the sense that they are going to follow me out, that's a different story, but we'll start there.
How are you going to do this, Heinrich? Are you just going to stand and listen at the door? Are you going to try and stealthily hide somewhere nearby so you can hear?
Oh, definitely stealthy. There's quite embarrassing to just be caught peering up against the window like a kid in a candy shop.
Indeed. Well, in that case, please roll an opposed roll. You're rolling stealth.
Rolling stealth? I will tell you right now, I'm re-rolling stealth, because a 95 is not going to put me in the kind of position I want to be in. I will definitely take a 15, though. That is under 42, so 3 success levels.
You duck nearby the window, and you wait a few seconds. You hear some murmuring from inside. A certain voice is quite distinctive, even though you can't hear what it's saying, because you've heard it before. You then start to hear footsteps from inside come outside, heading towards the door. Not in a hurry. You have time to get away, but you definitely heard some voices inside. There was someone else in there.
Someone in addition to 2 thugs, the clerk, and then an additional voice.
Yes, that sounded rather recognizable to you.
Oh, you know, a smarter member of the party would return, give this information to the people who were waiting at the inn, and then form a plan, but that is not Heinrich. Do I need to make another stealth roll to find an alley to duck into? Because now I want to follow the goons.
You don't need to make another roll. You quickly duck into an alleyway and notice the 2 goons. They come out, start looking around, and begin walking down the street.
I want to shadow them, at least until, if it looks like they're just going to go on thug patrol, that's one thing. If they're heading somewhere important, they duck into an inn or a hideout, not that it would obviously be a hideout, that is different, but I will start to follow them.
Feel free to start following them. Roll another stealth check for me, please.
Should mention, as I do this, I'm definitely taking off the super identifiable hat. Gonna tuck that into the back of my belt. 0 success levels, but I do pass the test.
Well, you begin trying to follow these guys quite subtly. First of all, the 2 of them head to the main street, although again, you are in this district where most of the main streets are quite narrow and you're still quite far from the centre of town. They nod to each other, one goes left, one goes right. Who do you follow? Can't follow both of them.
No, head says left, tail says right. Let me just flip the coin. I'm going right.
You begin following another one right. He's looking around, checking places, but the only place he isn't checking is behind him. It's like he's looking for something. You realise they might be looking for you, having expected you to have already moved on. Could you roll a perception check, please?
Can I pass it? Is a different story. That is a 68 above my 40.
In trying to be subtle about this, you follow this guy a little further. He starts going down a little shortcut. Very narrow here. You think you're behind a couple of warehouses. The man steps to the left, and you wait a few seconds as you should, and just as you're about to continue, you hear a click from behind you. What do?
Click as in a firearm.
Probably the sound a crossbow makes it. It's just being loaded and readied, you think to yourself.
All right, still not a great click. I want to spin around to face it, drawing my rapier as I do.
You do so. A good 30 paces away, a man has a crossbow aimed straight at you. Oh, sudden movements. I've got you. Let's just talk a moment before I shoot you, eh? You recognize the man from the inn in Wisebrook. He's got a hood up this time, but you recognize the broken face, scar on the side, that gravelly voice. And yes, Heinrich, a crossbow is aimed very, very nicely directly at your heart. He's also not within rapier distance, unless, of course, you decide to just run at him.
If it comes to that, we'll see. I've been threatened with being shot plenty of times, and actually shot much fewer. You never know. So I'll keep the weapon at the ready. Of course, I'm sure you have plenty of things to say. How can I help you?
Lieberung's a clever one. Good game indeed. You can tell him it's not over. I will find him soon. Make sure you little lackeys are away, and then we'll settle things. I'm growing impatient, though. But I don't reckon you can run, not from here.
I'm sure you'll understand that Herr Lieberung doesn't keep me abreast of all of his business, and judging by the company he keeps...
How much is he paying you? How much coin to sell your soul to the abyss? I'm curious.
Can I make up an appropriate-sounding amount using intuition?
I mean, you don't need to roll, really. How much do you think people get paid in this world? Up to you. A couple of gold crowns?
Well, that's my thought. If I say, 50 gold crowns a day, that's ridiculous on its face, right? If I say 2 gold crowns, then I'm being laughed at for being cheap. You can buy a lot of loyalty for 50 crowns. And then I shrug. Victim of circumstance.
50 gold crowns. That's the cost of a soul, is it? I see. I'm wondering whether to shoot you or not. You don't get me anything. You're worthless, meaningless. But I'll give your master credit. Didn't come today. Huh. Still, I guess this little story's over for now, isn't it? Oh well.
Before you pull the trigger, good sir, understand that I can't deliver your ultimatum with a crossbow bolt in my heart.
I suppose the question is, are you gonna make him run, or not? I'll have to kill you later, probably. Let him know this was the nice way of doing it. I didn't need to harm you or your other people on the boat. Probably gonna get ugly now. I'll have to think.
It will be an honor to face you should it come to that.
It will be an inconvenience to me. Scum like you. Crossbow bolt's too good. Hangman's noose is better.
The victor has the choice, as I recall. Maybe they do it differently in Bogenhaven. But, sir, as it appears our time together is ending, shall I back nicely down the alley? Would you prefer I take a left or a right? What, in your esteemed opinion, is the most effective way for me to be out of your sight and on to deliver your message?
Get the fuck out of here. Keeps the crossbow on you. Doesn't move in your direction, but it does seem as if he's giving you exit to leave.
Well, I'm going to take the shit out of that exit. I don't want to be shot.
Then you quickly walk away, and very soon you look back behind you and see The individual is gone.
Once I feel somewhere in the clear, I'm just going to find a corner and lean against it, put my head in my hands. Should have just stayed a fucking boatman. Alright. Well, I didn't realize that there were souls on the line. That's probably something that my friends are going to want to know. I will compose myself. I will put the very fancy hat back on. And I will return to the inn.
And so, we will return to our final party member. Kruger, where did you go and what did you do while your friends went off for the moment?
Well, the clothes make the man, and I'm supposed to be someone noble. I'm supposed to be Kastor Lieberung. I have seen how he dressed. I have seen his body. I will attempt to procure clothing that's approximately, similar to what he was wearing, and that will make it seem not at all strange that I am someone who would be owed the kind of sums that I'm here to collect. I know that that will cost quite a lot of money, but fortunately we have come across some money, and, well, I'll just spend now, and then there's 20,000 gold crowns coming later, so it's not going to be a big risk to have that kind of expenditure now. So yeah, I will try to find a place that sells clothes for, well, nobility, for people who have means, richer merchants, that kind of thing, and see if I can procure the kind of clothes that make me look the part of Kastor Lieberung.
So how much money do you have?
Well, probably not enough, but we do have 1 gold crown, 20 shillings.
If you spend a gold crown, you might be able to look like an average merchant. You kind of get a lot of snooty noses when you actually go to some of the clothiers trying to buy actual noble clothing. The prices there tend to vary more between a couple of gold crowns per piece.
Well, let's then try and look as good as possible. And I'll spend the gold crown then procuring an outfit that makes me look like, well, maybe these are my traveling clothes. Not the finest ones, but good enough for the road.
Exactly. 1 gold crown is enough to get a nice jerkin, a nice leather coat, and some nice shoes. Again, to most people you'd seem like a traveling merchant, but at least it's something.
Indeed. And then I want to be seen, so I had hoped to find something a little bit more ostentatious, but I suppose my face is going to be ostentatious enough, so I will make my way to the Schaffenfest, and I'll just, be walking around there and making sure that I am seen. I do know how to not be seen and how to be seen, and I will make sure that I keep track of people, following me, trying to catch me alone in an alley or something like that. I'm not looking to be ambushed here. I know that there have been people searching for us before, and they might be here too. I want them to think that the Schaffenfest is where I will be. So yeah, I'll be walking around there, trying to make myself seen, and then at an appropriate time, especially if I do see that I'm being followed, I will attempt to disappear and make my way back to where we were staying.
Well, if you wish to be seen, no role is required. You are certainly seen. You go around the Schaffenfest presenting yourself as some sort of noble. Do you actually say anything to anyone or do anything, or do you literally just walk about looking fabulous?
I think that is one of the major things I do, and if there's an opportunity to ever mention my name, then of course, yes, I am Kastor Lieberung. That is what I will say.
Well, then people indeed notice you. A couple of noble individuals give you a bit of a look. A couple of fair growers give you a bit of a look. A couple of burly stevedores pass you at one point, give you a look. You have definitely been noticed. As you begin to slip away, no one follows you from the Schaffenfest, but you do begin to make your way back to the inn. Again, now we are beginning to approach 5 o'clock-ish. Afternoon is setting in. Although, just before you get back to the inn, a young halfling girl does stop you. You recognize the halfling girl. She was the one from earlier. Although now she's swapped her news bulletin sort of sign for a bunch of pamphlets. She comes to you to hand one out. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Are you going to go see Professor Malpheus's enchanting zoocopia? Don't miss out tonight.
I just might. I'll grab one of the pamphlets.
I mean, you can't read what it says, but there's lots of pretty pictures on it, including a big tent and a sort of thing that you think is an address. You can recognize how addresses are written, at least, even if you don't know how to read. Yeah, that's right, sir. Just a few more hours, and then it will be ready in the Chatham fence. You can't miss the big tent. Professor Malpheus's Zoocopia. See the fantastic animals within, the miracles of the modern world. They are really fascinating. Apparently, he's got some really cool things, I've heard. Now that I'm allowed to go. I'm not allowed to go. Mum says I can't go. But, maybe I can sneak in. You should really go, sir. It's really exciting. And only a couple of 2 silver shillings.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a real bargain. You only get chances like this rarely, really, to see such things. Yes, certainly. I will go and see that. I'll make sure. Thank you so much for making me aware of this.
Of course, you're just in time. Maybe another. It's 5 o'clock, but 5:30. So you got a little bit of time before the show begins.
Yes, of course. I'm Kastor Lieberung, by the way.
Oh, lovely to meet you, sir. Maggie's my name, Maggie Fairfoot.
Well, it was very nice to meet you. I will make sure to be over there later on then.
Certainly. And she goes off. What do you do?
Well, hopefully I've been able to establish that I will be present in the Schaffenfest over the coming few hours at the very least. If anyone has been asking around about us or have been observing me, well, hopefully they'll have their eyes focused there while we go meet with the law firm.
Indeed. And so finally, at 5 o'clock-ish, roughly, you all return to the Journey's End Inn to discuss your findings of the day. Again, the inn is quite busy at this time. Lots of people are coming for their evening meal. What do you do as you all finally meet up once again?
I'll show off my new fancy clothes, even though they're not that fancy, but they're new.
Oh, we could definitely be clothing buddies, because this hat is definitely staying on my head as I walk into the room, despite the dour, disappointed, slightly upset look on my face.
I've got over my anxiety moment. I'm now standing up straight, though I have a cup of wine in my hand. That certainly helped.
So what have we learned?
I've learned that the two of you dress far better than I do when we're out on a mission.
It's nothing we can't fix.
There's no point wearing expensive silks and plumage and a hat if it's going to get sprayed with errant blood.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I will then recount the tale of my encounter for my 2 friends, paying special effort to pointing out I don't know that Heinrich knows what chaosy language sounds like, but I don't think people normally accuse you of selling your soul in that way if they mean, like, working for a lord who is a jerk.
No, they don't normally use that colloquialism.
So I'll tell the story, I'll get to that part and say, I don't think the dispute that they have between the real Herr Lieberung and the soon-to-be Herr Lieberung is of a, shall we say, firmly rooted in this plane variety.
Well, that's worrying. It's especially worrying that they're here. I should have expected it. Still, I don't want to be shot. I really don't want to be shot.
No, the gentleman who, I believe you encountered him after I took on some serving work, he has it's pretty unerring aim on that gentleman.
We'd better be quick then about getting our crowns.
Oh, so we are still doing it then?
I want to do it, because that man is going to follow me no matter what. I do want the money if he's going to be after me. Maybe I can pay him off.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I think the Fact of the matter is, we're this far deep into it now. Whether it's fate that ordained we end up on this path, or whether it was our own choices. Regardless, I don't think we can just step off of it. At this point, you will be hunted. Which probably means we will be hunted. So, we need to make the best of a terrible situation.
Well, be that as it may, they are obviously watching the office. The very second that we walk in, we have to be prepared for, well, the blood spray part that Siegfried was alluding to earlier.
Well, then we can always disguise our companion here.
And myself, for that matter.
Yes, well, quite.
I did attempt to make my presence at the Schaffenfest known, and especially try to spin a story of attending a show that will be happening there later on. With any luck, my presence there will mean that the people looking for us will be looking for us at the Schaffenfest. I tried, at least. I don't know if it's going to hold or not, but well, there's only one way to find out. I suppose we can try and disguise ourselves a little bit as we go to the office, and then once we're inside, though, we're going to have to play the part.
Well, what kind of... I remember once when I was younger, a trick I once played to get some time outside was I would hide at the bottom of the corpse wagon while it was being taken to the burning pit. And after it had been poured in, but before the fires had started, I would climb out and enjoy myself in the open air for a while until my master realised I was missing, at which point I had to go back. Now, this isn't just a fanciful story, although I know it sounds fun. The thinking in my mind is, right now, if we have Kruger nominally at this event, and therefore Lieberung is there, we need to find a way to get the two of you into the law offices, where we can get these crowns signed over. And perhaps a way to do it is to find out the kind of thing that gets delivered to and from the law offices, or at least not necessarily find out, just let's come up with something logical. I more or less pulled off the role of messenger earlier. I can quite happily be dung carrier, or someone coming to collect paperwork, or something like that. It won't be, given the number of coins we currently have on us, finding a wagon or just hiring one off someone else, or a cart to push in, wouldn't be that much of a hardship, and therefore that gets you in through the doors undercover. It means we don't have to worry too much about heavy makeup and false noses. It just needs to be a way of getting you into the building in an unobtrusive way. Or maybe I'm overthinking things. Maybe the other way of doing things is to wear makeup and disguises. Or, on the third hand, we break in through an upper floor or chimney and present ourselves subsequently. The one thing I'm sure of is that we can't just walk in wearing our normal faces, or at least the two of you cannot.
One thing does occur to you, Heinrich, as Siegfried is giving all these very, very clever ways of sneaking in and getting in. Didn't you hear the voice from inside? That guy was speaking to the people inside the building. He was talking to that clerk. The clerk who was very anxious about you seeing the lawyer until those toughs then came in. Would you like to roll a intuition roll?
I think that's the only way to get through it. Heinrich is an idiot. I rolled a 67.
Well, it makes sense he was watching the building. He was definitely watching the building. Yeah, you probably should make sure you're stealthy when you go back there. That would make sense, yes.
So what's it to be, gents? I'm no breaking and entering master. I imagine Kruger's slightly better at that than I am, but I think that we need a way in that's not going to draw attention, and we need to do it fast. If this evening's entertainment is where Lieberung is said to be, we need to enact this plan rapidly.
I will ask this. When I was inside the building, did it look like the kind of place where the barrister lived above it, or would it be the kind of office where they're coming into work from somewhere else?
Well, you're not sure. You did see those 2 doors behind the desk. Again, you do remember that it was a very shoddy-looking law firm. A very bad part of town, actually. So maybe he wouldn't actually live there, this barrister.
I suppose it doesn't matter either way. Either we go and the documents are there and it's as unoccupied as it's going to be, or we go and the old lawyer man lives there, and then we can avail ourselves of the opportunity to speak with him in a more intimate setting. I will say this much, and of course deferring to Kruger's robbery advice, of which I'm sure he has a great deal. Whatever the move we make, I don't think we're doing it in the next hour, 2 hours. When, Kruger, is the correct hour for breaking and entering?
Well, that would normally be when everyone is away and asleep, ideally elsewhere. What say you about just going there and we try to just cover ourselves with some kind of coat or something like that, and then just make our way in there as quickly as possible. I mean, we know that they're looking for us. Let's not overthink this. Let's just do it.
And then make a hasty exit.
Go right now.
Well, it would have to be damn fast. Yes. Well, I mean, it's an option I hadn't considered. There's not one that sounds particularly agreeable, but if time is of the essence, let's do it.
It is all about tempo.
And he's here, and he knows that you are here. So he's going to come for us in the night if we don't act now, I think. So best act quickly.
Excellent points all around. Although, if I have any say in the matter, I would prefer to not be coated in dung as we go.
I think just a normal coat, not one with dung, is fine.
Then what do? You tell me. What's your next action? You're going to just get some coats. Again, a little bit more cash to spend. And make your way there. If you want to delay a little, it will soon be evening. It is, after all, still early spring for all intents and purposes, so the sun has begun to set.
Would it still be open then, or? I was under the impression that the place was closing at some point in the coming few hours around.
Yes, it's safe to assume that the place probably would close just as evening falls.
Hmm. Well, then let's try and go as late as possible, when it's as dark as possible and still open.
Well, in that case, you'll have to hurry. You might just get there in time.
Then let's go.
In that case, the three of you don some coats and simply make your way to that address as fast as possible. In your haste, perhaps not really paying attention to anything around you. After all, you need to get there quickly. And by doing that, you are able to come down that street once again. Now, Siegfrieda, you are here, as is Kruger, and you will both have the same sort of realization that this is a very poor part of town. This is a very shoddy-looking office. But you arrive at the door. There's no people here now. What do you do?
Well, is this a door you knock on, or is it one that you just enter freely?
According to Heinrich, he just pushed the door open and walked in.
Well, then that's what I'll do.
And wait, friends. Does this look like the kind of place where you'd be delivered a huge quantity of crowns? Or does this look like the place where you'd be gutted and left in the dark?
It could be either one of those, right?
I'm going to wait outside, not because I don't trust that the two of you can't defend me, but I think it's worthwhile having an external lookout. If someone approaches, I'll make a sound like a bull bear. And you'll know that's the cue to get the hell out. Not via the main entrance.
Good idea, Siegfrieda. Alright, wish me luck. Wish us luck, I say, and I look at Heinrich.
Bleed on.
And I move into the law office.
You push open the door and enter. Complete darkness. The lights are off, no one's lit a torch in here, and there is no one inside. This room anyway. You see again the same desk, you see the two doors leading further into the building, you see a ramshackle bookshelf, a couple of benches.
Excuse me?
No one responds.
Well, that is interesting. That is interesting indeed. I'll try to listen and just confirm, is anyone here? Or have we actually been lucky enough to walk into this place unattended?
You listen carefully. You can't hear anything, no. Maybe they've closed. Although they forgot to lock the door, but maybe that's good luck for you.
Yeah, or someone has killed them all. I suppose that's another possibility. I'll begin looking around then, seeing if I can find anything or anyone connected with what we're here to do.
I'm happy to aid in the search.
Then the pair of you begin searching this room. It doesn't take long to search the room itself. The question is, are you going to try opening any of these doors and going into other rooms?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, there's one door on the left and one door on the right. Do you both take one door? Separate? You tell me.
We don't have time to be going over things together.
Indeed, we need to do this fast. If we are lucky enough to be here while someone's simply forgotten to lock, then they might be back any minute, having realized that, oh, yes, I forgot to lock the door.
In that case, you separate. One going left, one going right. Heinrich, you go right. You enter a room. There's a couple of tables and chairs in here. A big wardrobe. I don't see much else. There's a back door as well. I think that might lead out to the street.
Is it barred or bolted?
Currently, it is bolted as you go to it.
Alright. I do need to look through the wardrobe, of course. There's a container here. God knows what it has. Maybe something useful.
You quickly open the wardrobe, finding nothing. Totally empty. As for you, Kruger, you find the stairway to this building. It seems there is another floor leading up. Again, it's now very dark in here. You can just about see, thanks to the windows, but it's still very dark indeed. What do you do?
I will see if I can find a candle or something I can light up so that I'll actually be able to see what's going on in here.
Certainly. You light a candle. You do find one. There are some sconces, and you quickly light it, and yes, now you have some light. Siegfrieda, you're outside. Your two friends have entered. You think you can hear sounds of them rummaging about. What are you doing?
Well, it doesn't sound to me like they're in a meeting with a lawyer. Well, I'm currently keeping my eyes on the street, as we thought someone may have been watching this building, and so I'm trying to look as unobtrusive as possible, hiding in a nearby alley, maybe behind some boxes or barrels, and just keeping my eye on who goes past, if anyone's stopping, if anyone's watching, if there's anything that looks like, let's say, a gang of killers coming together to raid the building now that my companions are within it.
Certainly. Please roll a perception check for me.
Goodish roll, 31 out of 42.
You lean against an alley. And yes, you see it. Shadows begin to emerge from the alleyways. 1 man, 2 men, 3 men. They're all beginning to just head to the building, heading to the entrance. What do you do, Siegfrieda?
Do they look to be armed?
You poke your head forward just a little. One of them is carrying a club. 2 of them are carrying heavy-looking maces. And then you feel something gently press your back. Not a sound.
Well, far be it from me to engage in melee combat.
What do you do?
I'm not going to abandon my companions. I'm certainly not going to allow them to get assassinated. I am not the most skilled combatant in the world. But what I might be able to do is throw some kind of medicine or smash something in this guy's face. I have no hope of engaging him in knife combat. My skill is too low. But in an improvised fashion, yeah, I might be able to take my hand from my pocket and just jam something.
You'll do this thinking it's quite likely he has a crossbow bolt directly aimed at your back.
Yeah, so it's going to be effectively a split action. I need to smash and twist.
Well, let's see. This will be a contested roll. The question is, what do you think you're rolling?
Alright, let's go for dodge first then, shall we? Nice simple dodge.
Alright then, a contested roll.
Okay. Alright, I have made my roll. Craig, do you want to go first?
You tell me what you rolled. What was your success levels? That's what's important here.
Well, I have made a very good roll, but the success levels aren't so fantastic. I have rolled a 7 out of my dodge skill of 32. So I think that means I get, 2 success levels?
Siegfrieda, tell us how, despite all survival instinct, knowing that there is a crossbow bolt behind your back, you have the courage to turn and just throw something into someone's face.
Oh, a lot of this is muscle memory. Far too many times back when I was in that fucking physician's office. That grotesque creeping up behind me to lay a club or lash on me because I'd done something, just something minor wrong according to his exacting standards, which were often wrong themselves. I learned then that having someone creep up behind me and jab something pointy and harmful into my back was not going to be the way I lived my life. And while I didn't always succeed in getting away from him, I always tried. And so in this case, as I say, it's muscle memory. I feel that crossbow bolt poking into my back. My immediate response is to jam a hand in my satchel, turn on my heel, so that I am like half a foot stepped to the side as I twist. And as I twist, I am bringing up a bottle of whatever I happen to grab, and this is where fortune will have to come in because it's utterly random. It could be a bottle of water, although it's unlikely, into his face.
You turn and throw this thing into the guy's face. He doesn't fire. The only logical reason for this you can think is he probably just didn't expect you to do this. But luckily for you, whatever you've thrown in this person's face causes them to stagger back into the darkness, swearing, "Damn servants of chaos! Bastards! Ah!" You are in the street. All 3 of the men who are approaching turn to face you, Siegfrieda. What do you do?
I will run like the wind while making the sound of a bull bear as loudly as I can so that my companions can hear me. To anyone who could see me, this is going to look very odd. As I sprint going, I'd look like a complete lunatic, maybe even touched by chaos. These inquisitors could have the right idea, but I sprint with as much energy as I have to hopefully get my companions out of the building in time, or prepare them for an immediate attack. I'm running deeper down the alley, aiming to connect up with another street. Maybe I'll lure these people away, maybe I'll just buy you a little bit of time.
That, to me, I think is what happens. Siegfrieda, you run for your very life, making an awful lot of noise. Already you can hear commotion coming from several buildings, largely people going, "What the hell is that?" or "Shut the hell up!" But you are rapidly going back to the main street. You look behind you, you notice none of these people are pursuing you, but you do just hear someone from somewhere shout, "Forget her! The building!" Meanwhile, inside the building, Heinrich, you hear an awful lot of shouting and commotion coming from outside. You then hear footsteps, and you just see, in the room you're in, a shadow pass by the window. There are shadows heading to that door you were looking at, that door that heads outside. What do?
I have a wardrobe. I can put it in front of the door.
You can. Roll me a strength check.
I'm actually kind of good at this. I rolled a 7 under 37 for 3 success levels.
You grab that wardrobe and begin shoving it hard to that exit. You just get there in time. Although, as you do, you hear some sounds from outside, something heavy being moved. Did they just put something at the door on their side? No one tries to barge down the door. but you step away, successfully having at least made sure they're not coming in this way, but you do notice no one seems to be trying to come in. In fact, there's shutters that are being closed from outside.
I did not come all the way to Bogenhaven to get burned alive in this building. Okay. I am going to abandon this door, running past over to... making the U-turn out of my room into the one where I'm assuming Kruger is still near the bottom of the stairs.
Kruger, what are you doing? You hear commotion, you hear the sound of someone moving something heavy in the room to the right, a lot of shouting outside. You, on the other hand, are in this area with a bunch of stairs. What do you do?
I haven't found anything of interest, right? Nothing that would actually, well, make all this worth it. Nothing that would help guide us to what to do next, right?
No, although you do notice from behind you, people heading to the door, and the entrance slamming shut.
Huh. We have to get out of here. What would be the best way out of here? Yes, up.
Either barring the doors. How's your rooftop running skills? I'm willing to learn in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that, I think. Let's go.
You begin running upstairs. You find yourself in several smaller rooms. There's some windows facing directly out to the street below you. Quite a drop. One window at the back. That's it. Shit. One window at the back, two at the front. A steep drop either way. What do you do?
Well, if there's no other seeming way out, then drop out the back.
You go to head to the back window. You look outside. And of course, as you're facing the back of the building, you immediately hear a voice. Enough, Kastor Lieberung! Enough of this bloody chase! Kastor Lieberung, in the name of the Emperor, I arrest you and your companions for conspiring with chaos, murder, theft, and other crimes hereafter to be enumerated. Lay down your weapons and surrender at once.
Are we surrounded? Is this a lost cause, or is there a way out?
Well, if you poke your head out that window, you'll notice that there are a couple of men out there. You can't see anything else. Again, it's really dark. You look around for the source of the voice, and you see it coming from a rooftop. Someone's there on the rooftop, shouting out to you, equal level.
Do I see any way out that doesn't go in that direction? Just drop to the street level? Climb down?
Roll a perception check.
39 under 43, 1 success level.
Well, if you were to leave the building, the back is better. You actually could just about jump down from here. Although, looking down, there are people down there, so that's going to be tricky, but at least you'd be out of the building. The front doesn't look very good. That's a straight drop. You'd be probably hurt yourself. You also will acknowledge that at this point in time, these people aren't trying to get in the building, and this guy's telling you to surrender. So that does mean that no one's immediately trying to come in and kill you. You do note your survival instinct there.
All right, well, we can give it a few more moments. I'll just look around in here then, saying to Heinrich, they're out there. They're waiting for us to come out. I don't know, we can see if we can find something in here, and then after that we'll just have to brave it and hope for the best and just try and run. They're going to arrest us.
There are only two options, friend. Either we stay in here and we surrender or wait for them to force us out, or we take our chances on the street. Not wild about being arrested, especially when being charged with chaos things.
Siegfrieda, you are running to the main street and then suddenly find yourself in front of a group of watchmen. They peer at you with lanterns. Excuse me, what's all the racket? Calm down, Chaffinfest is over there, although it's almost over for the day. What's all this nonsense?
Once again, I try and do the mental calculations of which option is best. Always divided, a certain duality in my head. And I quickly decide that my companions' lives are more important than anything else that we have going on. And I say, there's armed thugs just back that way. One of them tried to attack me with a crossbow. Another 3 of them appeared to be about to raid a building. They were armed with blades and maces, and I ran and made as much noise as I possibly could. I think that there's 2 people in there that are in danger.
You what? Is this some sort of joke? What the hell? Armed people down there? Why would I...
By Sigmar, do I need to repeat myself?
The 4 watch people look around at each other. They look very disturbed, very upset. You don't need to roll for this. They don't want to deal with this sort of situation right now, but they give you a bit of a nod and begin moving in the direction you've just come from.
Well, I will tentatively follow them. I will tentatively follow them a certain distance at their rear, but I want to make sure that my companions have got out safely, or at least valiantly fighting for their lives.
Heinrich, what's going through your mind? Again, you'll realize the same things as Kruger. He says, we better look around here a little bit. Again, these people aren't actually entering the building. It's almost like they've sealed you in. Looking around, it seems that more of them are at the front than the back. And again, you also can see that it does seem as if someone has got to a rooftop. That's the person shouting at you.
I have nothing but faith in my ability to duel. But dueling is a one-on-one gentleman's sport. Also, they don't allow crossbows. So I'm not super confident in the jump and run strategy. I do think if they're just gonna lock us into a hostage situation, and at this point I will turn to Kruger. I'll say, we have a few minutes.
Agreed. If there's anything to help us, it must be in here somewhere.
Kastor! Kastor! Game's over. I tell you this. You, accomplice, don't need you. We'll let you live. Just need him. Turn him over and you can walk away.
I'm not even going to address that, because we're back in the situation where the faster we can scope through this place, the sooner then we can, come up with some kind of scheme or a ruse to help us out of the situation. So, first things first, just running through this very quick plan with Kruger. Search rooms until we get a better idea, and then I guess I can pretend to surrender and create a distraction, I don't know, something like that?
Yeah.
So what do you do, Kruger?
I'm looking around this entire house, just trying to find something that might be helpful. I can't read, which makes this more difficult, but, I just try my best.
You begin looking through cabinets, looking through drawers. There's absolutely nothing here. This doesn't make any sense, Kruger. What sort of law firm is this? It's like this is just a random house. You find a couple of pewter cups. That's it. Nothing.
Was this some kind of trap? By Sigmar. I look to Heinrich to see if he has better luck in his search.
Heinrich, same for you. Absolutely nothing. What a weird lawyer's firm. They don't even have any paperwork here. You're pretty sure that sort of place should have paperwork, right? But there's nothing up here. What do you do?
We walked straight into it. Whoever got a hold of Kastor, this was the next step in the net. Okay. They don't want me. I can go, pretend to surrender, cause a scene, maybe get some eyes off of it, right? I'll go out the front door, attracting that kind of attention. Maybe I can lure a few people with me. The back is safer. You can make a run for it, and then, we'll find Siegfrieda. I haven't thought that far ahead.
Let's meet up back at the inn, and good luck. Thanks. You didn't have to do this, but I'm glad you did. Let's get through this alive now.
As I'm moving towards the window, I'll just say, it's my dumb ass who made you put the ring on. And then I will push the window just open enough, and then put on my best timid, oh no, you got me face. And say, okay. You're right, this isn't worth 50 crowns. I'll be down in the front street, is that? Yeah?
Who are you directing this to? The figure you can still see in the darkness, or these individuals down below?
I'm directing it directly across eye level to the rooftop, but loud enough that the people below could also hear.
See the figure across yell out again. Whatever. I don't give a fuck about you. Kastor, you didn't need to make this so difficult. Could have been easy. No! No! You're not entirely sure what's going on, Heinrich. You squint in the darkness, and suddenly that individual's he's making noises. Weird noises. Do you want to try roll a perception check?
58 over 40.
You squint in the darkness. You hear a yell. A crossbow bolt goes off. You tense up suddenly, but you are not shot. And then something plummets to the ground. A body just fell from in front of you, somewhere in the darkness, and you're pretty sure now it's on the ground. You see the men below suddenly panic a little. They're like, "What the hell was that? What the fuck? What's happened?"
The principle of Sigmar's razor says the most obvious solution is probably the correct one, so I'm going to assume the body that fell down was the gravel-voiced man who's been stalking us. In 4 or 5 words, I'm going to just tell Kruger, this just became a 3-way fight. If we're going to go, we got to go now.
Let's go.
And I guess the 2 of us are jumping out the window?
Yeah.
Very well, then. I'm guessing the back one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then both of you decide to rappel down. I think, because you say you'll jump out. Again, there's a couple of barrels you can land on. I think this is going to be a straight agility test. But you can have a +10, Kruger.
All right.
I'm 31 under 42, 1 success level.
I rolled 70, so I will use a point of fortune. 28 under 47.
Then the pair of you look down, and clasp hands, and jump, landing straight on a couple of barrels that kind of creak quite angrily at your presence. But you know how to jump out of things, Kruger. And you haven't done it before, Heinrich, but that seemed to go very well, as you are now on the street level. You notice very quickly a few things happen. The 3 men who are in the area look behind them at something, and then they look at you 3 jumping out the window, and they just say, "God, it's not worth it! Fucking chaos!" And they start running.
Running seems like a good thing to do. Whatever is going on, it's probably best to not be here. Come on, and I'll try to make us blend in with the environment. I'll try to be stealthy and hide, basically.
You can do this. You do also hear shouts coming from somewhere on the other street. After all, you've gone to the back entrance. But at the front of the building, you think you can hear some activity as well. Siegfrieda, you'll notice that some watchmen are entering the area, and you see a bunch of people fleeing from them, quickly heading off into various side streets.
Does it look like it's my companions fleeing the Watchmen? Because if so, that means this plan has gone horribly wrong. Even more so.
You can't tell. You can only tell they're getting away very quickly. The Watchmen don't really seem that eager to pursue. They're simply saying, "What's going on here, then?" Oh, I'm sorry, you said that people were attacking your friends? Where are your friends, then? That lot's run off.
Can I see them anywhere?
Not yet, you can't.
They may be chasing them now. You should. Those people running away are the attackers. They had weapons and they were prepared to draw blood. One of them assaulted me with a crossbow.
As you're having this conversation, Heinrich, Kruger, you notice Kruger eager to get going, but you can't take your eyes away. There's a body over there in the darkness.
Oh, I'm way ahead of you. I will wave Kruger on because we shouldn't be caught together, but let him know that I saw the body fall. I have to know. And I'm going to run towards the person who got thrown off the roof.
And you will go quickly in the darkness to reach for the person who fell off the roof. You smell blood. A lot of blood. And as you turn the body over, you see a horrifying sight. A man whose head is entrails, ripped. His guts are literally leaking out from him. His face, an expression of confusion and horror. And his clothing torn, as if by some sort of beast.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this first part of the series, we are tackling Book 1, Enemy in Shadows. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Ager Sonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, Skaven are definitely not real.